Sean let his childhood sweetheart wear the wedding dress I had made with my own hands. "Bella is sick," he said. "Is it really necessary to argue with a patient?" Later, his sweetheart came to me in that same dress, crying and begging. "Jenna, can you just lend me Sean for one day? I just want to be his wife for a day before I die." I watched as Sean and her held a grand wedding on the lawn, kissing and embracing like a real couple. He was right. It wasn't necessary. So I decided I didn't want the dress, or him, anymore. During dinner, I casually scrolled through my social media feed and saw a post from Bella. It was a 9-picture grid of her in a wedding dress. The caption read, "He said I look beautiful in a wedding dress." My mind went blank, my thoughts screeching to a halt, because the dress she was wearing was mine. The phone crashed onto the table. The hot water in my glass spilled onto me. Sean looked up, frowning. "You're a grown woman. Can't you even hold a phone properly?" I ignored the burning sensation and showed him Bella's post. My voice strained. "Why is Bella wearing my wedding dress?" "Oh, Bella saw the pictures of the dress you sent me. She said she really liked it and wanted to try it on. So I gave it to her." He then picked up his phone, a small smile playing on his lips, and liked her post. He didn't see my scalded skin, nor the utter devastation in my heart. His eyes were only for Bella. The burning pain on my skin seemed to vanish, replaced by a sharp, tearing ache in my chest. Sean continued eating, unconcerned. "Just make another one. It's not a big deal." Tears welled in my eyes. I dug my nails into my palms to keep them from falling and screamed at him. "You know what this dress means to me. How could you just give it to her without asking?" Sean slammed his chopsticks down, his patience wearing thin. "Jenna, be more considerate. Bella is sick. Is it really necessary to argue with a patient? Be more considerate." I couldn't help but let out a self-deprecating laugh. How much more considerate could I be? For the past 6 months, ever since Bella was diagnosed with a terminal illness, she had become increasingly dependent on Sean. She needed him to cook for her, to tuck her in at night. Even on special occasions like Valentine's Day, she needed him by her side. I had been hurt. I had been angry. But every time, the words, "She's a patient," would extinguish my feelings like a drop of water on a flame. In his eyes, how could a healthy person like me argue with someone who was terminally ill? At first, Sean would patiently comfort me. "Jenna, I know you feel wronged. I don't want this either. But we grew up together. And she's so sick. I can't just abandon her. Just pretend I'm acting." "Okay." But as time went on, his guilt faded, replaced by a sense of entitlement. "Bella is dying. What's wrong with fulfilling a few of her wishes?" Even when those wishes were unreasonable, he never refused. I'm afraid that in all his acting, he started to believe the role. And now, even our wedding dress had to be given to her. He knew I had spent 3 months making that dress, from the design to the tailoring. I had poured my heart and soul into it. But because Bella wanted it, he had given it to her without a second thought. I suddenly felt that my compromises over the past 6 months had been a joke. I had been understanding of Bella, a young woman with an incurable disease, and had given way at every turn. I had pitied Sean for being caught in the middle and had swallowed all my grievances. But all I got in return was Bella's escalating demands and Sean's deepening betrayal. I was tired. I didn't have the energy to make another wedding dress, and I didn't have the energy to argue with him anymore. I had lost my appetite. I got up and went to my room. I opened the job offer in my email and stared at it for a long time before finally clicking. Except, it was ironic. At a recent wedding dress design competition, each contestant had to submit 2 works. The top 3 designers would receive a lifetime offer from Rosa, the world's leading bridal brand. The dress I had poured my heart into for myself was unexpectedly rejected, while a misty, ethereal design inspired by a spontaneous trip had won second place. The judge's comment was, "A free and unrestrained self, unbound by definitions." I was surprised at the time, but also very happy. On one hand, this offer was something I had been dreaming of for a long time. Rosa was the top brand in the industry. I could learn so much there, and the benefits were excellent. On the other hand, Bella's family business had failed. She couldn't stay abroad any longer. When she found out that Sean had made a comeback, she had returned and latched onto him. At first, Sean had hated her for abandoning him, but when he saw her crying piteously, His heart had softened. Later, as we were preparing for our wedding, Bella was diagnosed with a terminal illness and became completely attached to Sean. So I had excitedly told Sean about my offer from Rosa. We could start a new life abroad. Sean, your company is expanding its overseas business, right? And if we go abroad, Bella won't be able to bother you anymore. I know you're worried about her health. We can leave her some money and hire the best caregiver. I had stared at him, my eyes shining with hope. If he was willing to leave with me, I would believe that he had no feelings for his childhood sweetheart who had been clinging to him. But he had avoided my gaze. Jenna, I can't just leave her. We grew up together. After all, he said he only saw her as a sister. He said he didn't like the weather in France, didn't like the food there. He said I was the only one he loved, and begged me to think of him, to stay for him. I believed him, but he had lied. Looking back now, that rejected wedding dress, perhaps it had already sealed my and Sean's fate. Sean and I met in our senior year of high school, when the 18-year-old Sean transferred to our small town school. The girls who usually had their heads buried in their books all looked up. He was like a movie star. Even in our plain blue and white school uniform, he was devastatingly handsome. But he had an aura about him, like the cold winter sun, distant and aloof. My deskmate was on sick leave, so he naturally sat next to me. After that day, the whole school knew about the handsome transfer student from the capital. The bold, outgoing girls confessed their feelings to him one after another. And one after another, they left in tears. Sean's rejections were direct and cold. Because of this, some of the troublemakers in the school would mutter, "What's so great about being from the capital?" These were the usual suspects on the school's disciplinary list. Perhaps because they were wary of his background, they only dared to curse him under their breath. But Sean paid them no mind, just sat at his desk, silently drawing. We rarely spoke. The only time was one rainy day after school. He didn't have an umbrella. I hesitated for a moment, then handed him the one in my bag. "Here, you can have it. My dad is picking me up later." He glanced at me and said coldly, "Mind your own business," before walking out into the rain. I was so angry my face turned red. I decided I would never speak to him again. Later, rumors about him started to spread. They said he wasn't a rich kid at all. His family had gone bankrupt. His parents' company had run into trouble. They owed a lot of money, and they had jumped off a building. Even his childhood sweetheart, afraid of being associated with him, had hastily left the country with her family. That was why he had been sent to this small town to live with his grandparents. The school's troublemakers, no longer intimidated, started to bother him constantly, calling him a jinx. From then on, we heard about them fighting almost every day. Once, on my way home, I saw him surrounded by a group of them. He was starting to get overwhelmed and fell to the ground. Remembering his cold gaze from before, I was about to turn and walk away. But then I saw him curled up on the ground, beaten so badly, but not making a sound, like a stubborn, dying animal. My heart softened. I secretly called the police. The sound of police sirens soon filled the air, and the troublemakers scattered, cursing. I ran to his side and found his face covered in blood. He was lying on the ground, his eyes closed, motionless. I panicked, calling his name over and over, my voice choked with sobs. Even though he was annoying, I never wanted him to get hurt. Sean slowly opened his eyes, his voice hoarse. "I'm not dead yet. Stop crying." I breathed a sigh of relief and tried to help him up to take him to the hospital. But he pushed me away, his voice muffled. "Didn't you hear them? It's all true. I am a jinx. Stay away from me. You'll become unlucky too. I'm a rationalist. I don't believe in that stuff. I think you're a good luck charm. Ever since you became my deskmate, the teacher's attention has been on you. She doesn't criticize me anymore." My words made him laugh. He laughed for a moment, then fell silent. He suddenly whispered, "I'm sorry." After that, our relationship improved, though he was still very sarcastic. I don't remember when I started to have feelings for him. Maybe it was the summer before graduation. The troublemakers, who had been released from juvenile detention, found out I was the one who had called the police and cornered me in an alley. I was terrified, backing away step by step. When I had nowhere else to go, I closed my eyes in fear. But the pain I expected never came. With a grunt, Sean appeared, shielding me, taking the blow for me. The price was a shattered right hand from a steel pipe. He would never be able to draw again. I held him, sobbing uncontrollably. Your hand. Sean lifted his left hand and gently wiped away my tears. As long as you're okay. Seeing that I couldn't stop crying, he forced a smile and teased. You feel that bad? Then, be my girlfriend. I was stunned. I met his smiling eyes, and my heart skipped a beat. Okay. Sean was also stunned. He didn't seem to expect me to agree. He stared at me for a long time, his eyes growing darker. Then he leaned down and kissed me. And just like that, we were together. I helped him walk out of the shadows of his past. And together, we revived his family's company. And because of him, I chose to major in fashion design in college, wanting to carry on his dream. But in the end, he forgot the reason I had designed the wedding dress in the first place, and gave it to his childhood sweetheart, to have a wedding with her. The head office of Rosa called me to ask when I could start. I glanced at the calendar on my phone. The 7th of next month. I replied. The 7th of next month was the day of my wedding with Sean. Perhaps I still held a sliver of hope for him. Or perhaps I just wanted to completely give up. I decided to give our 8-year relationship a proper ending. After hanging up, I lay on the bed, exhausted. But I couldn't sleep. I thought Sean would go to the hospital to be with Bella, as he usually did. But he was only gone for a short while before he returned, holding a tube of burn cream. It turned out he had noticed my burn. He sat on the edge of the bed and took my reddened arm. Why didn't you tell me you got burned? I looked at the pity in his eyes and found it somewhat amusing. Before, when I was loved, I was just like any other girl, a little delicate, needing to be coaxed. But ever since his childhood sweetheart returned, I seem to have lost that privilege. I remember once, I was working late and felt a little light-headed as I was leaving the office. I stumbled and fell, my knee scraping against the ground. The pain so sharp I couldn't get up. I called Sean, my voice choked with tears, and asked him to pick me up. But he had just sighed on the other end of the line. Jenna, don't be so dramatic. I'm really busy. How bad can a fall be? Do you know that Bella is in so much pain she can't even eat? I was about to explain when I heard Bella's voice in the background. Sean, feed me. I feel a little better. Sean had replied gently. Okay, that's a good girl. The sharp pain in my knee seemed to vanish in that moment, replaced by a twisting ache in my heart, so intense I could barely breathe. I hung up before the tears could fall. A kind stranger helped me up and I took a taxi home. And now he was asking me why I hadn't told him I was hurt. I lowered my head and didn't speak, perhaps sensing my coldness. He explained as he applied the cream. I'm sorry, Jenna. I was out of line earlier. Haven't you always wanted to see that musical? Let's go see it tonight. Okay. My nose stung. I blinked hard to keep the tears from falling. The truth was, I hadn't liked that musical at first. When Sean was injured and recovering, he was very depressed and had lost interest in everything. I had read many books to him, and his favorite was the novel that the musical was based on. It was because of him that I had come to like the novel, and later, the musical. A friend of mine worked at the theater and, knowing I liked the musical, had given me 2 tickets. I had excitedly asked Sean to go with me and had even worn the same dress I had worn back then. But after work, Sean told me he had accidentally lost the tickets. I didn't think much of it at the time, just felt a little disappointed. But that night, I saw a new post from Bella. It was a picture of 2 hands, intertwined. On the man's right hand was a faint scar, a scar I knew all too well. And the caption was a famous line from the musical. Say you'll share with me one love, one lifetime. Say the word and I will follow you. I pulled my hand away. No, I don't like it anymore. Sean was stunned for a moment, muttering, What? You don't like it? But you've liked that musical for years. How can you not like it anymore? Sean became agitated. It was as if my not liking the musical was unacceptable to him. Why do I have to like it forever? I asked him calmly. Sean was speechless, unable to find a reason to argue. His face darkened. After a while, as if he had remembered something, he frowned. Are you still angry about Bella wearing your wedding dress? If you really can't part with it, I can ask her to give it back. Okay. I shook my head. I'm not angry. And the dress. I don't want it. It's been worn by someone else. It's tainted. Sean froze. Our gazes met, and his eyes, which had been indifferent, slowly filled with panic. as we were at a standstill. His phone rang. The ringtone was the one he had specially set for Bella. Sean hesitated for a moment before answering. I heard Bella's whimpering voice. Sean, why haven't you come to tuck me in yet? I had a nightmare. It was so scary. Please come be with me. Sean was silent for a long time. Unlike before, he didn't immediately agree. He looked at me and said softly, Jenna, just say you want me to stay, and I won't go. Before, if he had said he would stay with me, I would have been ecstatic. But now, his company didn't seem so important anymore. I got up and walked to the bathroom, my voice calm. Go be with her. Fine. Don't regret it. Sean's face was dark as he slammed the door and left. After that night, Sean and I began to give each other the cold shoulder. He deliberately stayed out all night, deliberately posted about Bella on his social media. He posted that she had eaten an extra bowl of rice today, praising her for being so good. He posted about taking her to Disneyland and riding the carousel, saying he had found his inner child. Not only did I not call him, but I even liked his posts. Until the day of the Dragon Boat Festival. My parents called and asked me and Sean to come home for dinner. I was about to make an excuse, to say he was busy with work and I would go alone. But then Sean suddenly returned, carrying bags of expensive supplements. He took my phone and said warmly, we know, Mom and Dad, Jenna and I will be there. I frowned at him, not understanding what he was up to. After hanging up, Sean handed me my phone, a look of grievance on his face. All these days, why haven't you called me or texted me? Aren't you worried about me at all? I was confused. He was the one who was wronged. Before, when I called you, you said you were busy and I shouldn't bother you. And you've been posting pictures of you with Bella. Why would I interrupt you? Sean stared at me, at a loss. He stammered. No, Jenna. I was just trying to make you jealous. I've been staying at a hotel all this time. I felt like you didn't care about me as much as you used to. So I just wanted to get your attention. He took my hand, his voice pleading. Jenna, let's stop this Cold War. Okay, let's go to your parents for dinner. Don't let them worry about us. I didn't say anything more. I went with him to my parents' house. At the dinner table, my parents had a little to drink and started reminiscing about my and Sean's school days. They said I was always so stubborn, that I would huff and puff and say I would never speak to that annoying deskmate again. But then I would come home crying, looking for medicine for him. They said they had known I had a crush on him for a long time, because of a single comment he made. I, who hated milk, had started drinking a glass every single day without fail. Listening to them, Sean silently lowered his head, a look of guilt in his eyes. On the way back, Sean took my hand. Jenna, let's go buy another wedding dress. He took me to a bridal shop, and I tried on one dress after another. His eyes sparkled, as if we were back in the early days of our love. My wife looks beautiful in everything. I pressed my lips together, and just as I was about to speak, his phone rang. It was the hospital. Sean answered, and his face suddenly changed. What did you say? Bella is missing. Miss Miller seems to have suicidal thoughts. She was asking where the nearest beach was, and then she disappeared. Sean's hand, holding the phone, trembled. He rushed out in a panic. This was the second time I had seen him like this. The first was when I was being cornered by those troublemakers. He had rushed over in the same panic state. As he was running out, he finally remembered me. He ran back, shoved a black card into my hand, and said quickly, Jenna, buy whichever one you like. Bella's in trouble. I have to go find her. With that, he was gone. I stared at his retreating back, not trying to stop him. Fortunately, I hadn't been foolish enough to believe him again. Otherwise, I would have been disappointed again. I dug my nails into my palms and blinked hard. Ma'am, do you still want the dress? A sales assistant, who had witnessed the whole thing, came over, her voice full of pity. No. I turned stiffly, changed out of the wedding dress, and took a taxi to the beach. A crowd had gathered, gossiping and cheering. Just say yes to your girlfriend. All girls get upset sometimes. Just coax her a little. In the middle of the crowd, Bella, in a long white dress, stood with tears in her eyes, looking at Sean, waiting for his response. I couldn't see his expression, only saw him slowly bend down and, to the delight of the crowd, kiss her on the lips. A cheer erupted around them. Only my heart felt as if it had been torn open. My raw, bleeding sincerity laid bare for all to trample. The cheerful atmosphere came to an abrupt end. Because I had walked over, I pulled Sean away and slapped him hard. We're over. You two can continue. Before Sean could react, Bella, her eyes red with pity, shouted at me, "It's not his fault." You, smack. Before she could finish, another slap landed on her face. Are you satisfied now with that? I turned and walked away without looking back. When disappointment accumulates, even the deepest love will fade. I should have woken up long ago. After taking Bella home, Sean rushed back. Seeing me packing my bags, he ran over and grabbed my hand in a panic. Jenna, I don't agree to a breakup. I violently shook his hand off and said coldly, so, you want to cheat for the thrill, and you want me to pretend nothing happened and stay with you? My direct, sharp words made his face turn pale. He lowered his voice. No, Jenna, I can explain. Bella was threatening to kill herself. I was afraid of provoking her. That's why I did it. You were angry just now, and you even hit her. She's sick. How could you do that? Are you not at fault too? As he spoke, as if he had finally found a flaw in me, he became more and more agitated. I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. I was wrong. To have expectations of someone who didn't deserve them. That was my biggest mistake. Meeting my gaze, Sean suddenly broke down. Jenna, don't look at me like that, please. Just talk to me. If you're still angry, you can keep hitting me until you're not angry anymore. Okay. Sean took my hand and started slapping himself with it. But I was just so tired. So tired that I couldn't say a word. I just felt dizzy, my head getting heavier and heavier. Before I lost consciousness, the last thing I saw was Sean's panicked face. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital. Sean excitedly held my hands. Jenna, we're having a baby. Seeing no joy on my face, his smile froze, and he lowered his head dejectedly. After a while, as if he had made a decision, he knelt by my bed and said, his voice choked, Jenna, I'm sorry. I was wrong. For the sake of our child, please give me one more chance. Okay. I promise you, I will never have any contact with Bella again. I won't interfere in her life anymore. Just forgive me this one time. Okay. He took out his phone and, in front of me, blocked Bella. I gently stroked my belly, tears silently falling. Baby, you came at the wrong time. Sean started to cry too, as if he truly regretted his actions. I looked out the window. The streets were familiar, but the people were not. I knew that breaking up with Sean would not be easy, and I knew that Bella would not give up so easily. So, I had to be clear-headed and pull myself out of this mess. I turned my head and said softly, okay, I'll believe you one more time. If you lie to me again, I will never forgive you. Sean was stunned for a moment, then quickly swore, I promise there won't be a next time. Jenna, I wouldn't be foolish enough to throw away our relationship of so many years. He didn't know that I knew him better than he knew himself. His promises were worthless. After returning home, Sean seemed to have transformed into a model husband. He cooked 3 meals a day and came home from work on time to be with me. He meticulously handled all the wedding arrangements, saying he wanted to give me the most perfect wedding. The wedding dress I had tried on at the boutique, he had also bought and brought back. Everything seemed to be moving in the right direction. But 3 days before the wedding, Bella, wearing the wedding dress I had designed, stood outside our house in the pouring rain. She was like a damsel in distress, waiting for her prince to rescue her. I asked Sean, aren't you going to go check on her? Sean looked away, his voice stiff. She's an adult. She should learn to take care of herself. But if you listen closely, you could hear the pity in his voice. Bella was pounding on the door, crying piteously. Jenna, I'm sorry about last time. I'm apologizing to you. I know I shouldn't be bothering you, but the doctor said I don't have much time left. Can you just lend me Sean for one day? I just want to be his wife for a day before I die. I'll never bother you again after that. Sean was stunned. He looked up at the door, his lips trembling. Seeing no response, Bella let out a desolate laugh. Forget it. It doesn't matter. I'm dying anyway. I'll just have to leave with this one regret. She stumbled away, her fragile body swaying in the rain like a wilting flower. Sean couldn't take it anymore. He said, as if to me, and as if to himself, his voice anxious. What is she talking about? I told her not to bother us again. By the end, he said quickly, I'll go get rid of her. You don't have to worry about it, and ran out. When Sean came back, his clothes were soaked, and he smelled faintly of roses. He forced a smile at me. She won't be bothering us again. Whether she lives or dies, it has nothing to do with me. Jenna, don't worry. I nodded, not asking what had just happened. The next morning, Sean hesitated several times, as if he didn't know how to begin. I asked him considerately, "What's wrong?" Sean pressed his lips together, a worried look on his face. "Something came up at the company. I have to go on a business trip," he added. "It won't affect the wedding." Sean didn't know that he had a habit of pressing his lips together when he lied, but I still said, "It's okay. You go." Actually, I was just about to tell you that we shouldn't be living together before the wedding, so I'll just go stay with my parents for a couple of days and come back on the wedding day. After all, it takes two to put on a show. Sean breathed a sigh of relief, gave me a few instructions, and then hurried off. And after he left, I scheduled an abortion. When I woke up after the procedure, it was already evening. I gently stroked my flat stomach, a hollow feeling in my chest. My phone suddenly vibrated. It was from Bella. A blatant provocation. "Jenna, you're so kind. Thank you for being willing to lend me Sean. I'll be sure to have a wonderful wedding with Sean, in the dress you designed. I hope I have your blessing. Oh, I forgot Sean told me not to say anything. Please don't be angry. It wouldn't be good for the baby." Even though I had already had the abortion, the wound still ached with a sickening pain. I pretended to be clueless and replied in disbelief. "What do you mean? You're lying, right? Sean told me he was on a business trip." Seeing my reaction, Bella was even more delighted. She sent me several pictures and videos. A picture of Sean's profile as he slept beside her. A picture of their wedding venue on a tropical island, with a sign that read, "Groom Sean, Bride Bella." And a video of their wedding. Sean, in a black suit, was kissing Bella on the lips as the officiant spoke. I remembered Sean's impatient words. Is it really necessary to argue so much? I forgot to tell him. It really wasn't necessary. So, I didn't want the wedding dress. Or him. See, he loves me. He could never abandon me. So, Jenna, don't be naive. I advise you to let go and stop clinging to him. She flaunted his love for her, without any restraint. I hadn't wanted to deal with Bella. I had just wanted to end things with Sean. I had always believed that if Sean loved me enough, if he had enough self-control, no Bella or any other woman could affect our relationship. But now, she was just asking for it. "Don't worry. I'll give you a blessing you'll never forget." With that, I saved all the videos and chat logs. The night before our wedding, Sean sent me a message saying he had landed at the airport and would be home soon. I didn't reply. I just sent him a scheduled email. Then, I blocked and deleted all his contact information. Sometimes, Sean and I were surprisingly in sync. Like now, we were both at the airport. Except my destination was France. On the day of the wedding, Sean woke up early. For some reason, he was filled with a sense of dread, as if he were about to lose something very important. He told himself it was just pre-wedding jitters. He had given Bella a wedding too, but that was just to appease her. It didn't count. Today's wedding was the one he had been looking forward to. After the wedding, he and Jenna would be a real family, with their child. Sean told himself he would make it up to Jenna, that he would be a good husband, that he would never hurt her again. As for Bella, he had done more than enough. Sean admitted that he had always known about Bella's feelings for him, and his feelings for her were not purely platonic either. At times, he had been tempted, but he already had Jenna. But fortunately, they had the childhood sweethearts excuse. Sean could indulge himself and engage in all sorts of ambiguous behavior with her. Even when Jenna was hurt, when she was angry, when she confronted him, he could always find a reason to refute her, to stand on the moral high ground and accuse her. But Sean had never thought that there are no secrets that can be kept forever. What if Jenna found out he had lied to her? What would he do? The wedding began. Sean stood at the end of the aisle, which was strewn with pink rose petals, waiting for his bride. But the music ended, and Jenna never appeared. Sean grew more and more anxious. The guests began to whisper, their gazes fixed on him. Did the bride run away? It's possible. I heard the groom has been having an affair with his childhood friend. What woman could stand for that? Sean's body trembled, as if he had been slapped. He fumbled for his phone. about to call Jenna. But at that moment, the large screen began to play the video of his and Bella's wedding, along with the chat logs between Bella and Jenna. Sean's face turned from red to white. He looked around and saw Bella among the guests. He rushed down from the stage, his face contorted with rage, and grabbed her by the neck. Did you show her the video? Why did you tell her? I promised I would fulfill your last wish. Why did you have to ruin my wedding with Jenna? Bella was terrified and hurt. It wasn't me. I didn't show her the video. Sean, let go of me. It hurts. Suddenly, Bella remembered something. It must have been Jenna. She wants to ruin us both. Her words were like a knife, stabbing into Sean's heart. The pain so intense he could barely breathe. He let go of her. His tall frame seemed to shrink. He muttered to himself, "No, no. Jenna wouldn't be so cruel." He seemed to have convinced himself that it was Bella who had ruined the wedding. Bella, stung by the apathetic stares of the crowd, instinctively tried to run. But at the entrance, she was met by several police officers. She turned, her heart pounding. The police surrounded her. "Bella, please come with us. Someone has reported you for forging a medical record. We need you to cooperate with our investigation." Hearing this, Bella's face turned ashen. Her lips trembled, but she couldn't say a word. Sean finally snapped back to reality. He glared at her. "You faked it. You were never terminally ill." Sean lost his mind and lunged at her, wanting to hit her. But he was stopped by the police. "Any more trouble, and you're coming with us." Sean collapsed to the floor, covering his face in agony. His phone suddenly chimed. He excitedly picked it up. But the next second, he froze. An email with no subject. Somehow, he knew what was inside. His hand trembled as he tried to open it. But he couldn't. Finally, he closed his eyes and, with a sense of resignation, opened the email. "I've had the abortion. You've lost your chance. Don't bother me again." A single tear fell onto the screen. Sean suddenly slapped himself hard across the face, his own tears streaming down. I turned off the live stream and had a good night's sleep. A rare dreamless night. When I woke up, a friend from back home sent me a message. Sean had gone to my old company looking for me and had been kicked out by security. His and Bella's scandal was all over the news, and his company's stock had plummeted. But he didn't care. He was asking everyone where I had gone, but no one would tell him. I had never intended for things to get this ugly, but it was all his own doing. I threw myself into my work at Rosa. Design always requires inspiration, so I would often wander the streets of Paris, soaking in the local culture. One rainy day, I found my muse. His name was Julian. I was on my day off, and I had stopped at a coffee shop. I was just going to grab a coffee and leave, but then it started to rain. I couldn't leave, so I sat by the window and read a book. Later, the rain stopped. I stood up, and a young, handsome Chinese man stopped me. He smiled shyly. "Miss, I drew a picture of you. It's a gift." I was taken aback. I looked at his sketchbook. It was only a partial profile, but it had been drawn with great care. I smiled at him. "Thank you. I love it." In return, I bought him dinner. Over the meal, we talked a lot. He was full of interesting stories. I found out he was a graduate student here. That night, he walked me home. It happened to be the first snow of the season in Paris, blanketing the streets in white. As we reached my building, I slipped on the icy pavement and almost fell. Julian quickly caught me. "Be careful." We were so close I could feel his warm breath. My face flushed. Julian was even shyer, stammering "See you next time." Before running off, I smiled to myself. As I turned, I saw a figure standing under a streetlight, already covered in a thin layer of snow. It was Sean. I wasn't surprised. I had known he was in Paris. He had been following me silently, never showing himself. I was getting tired of it, so I had used this opportunity to force him out. Sean just stood there, watching me, his eyes slowly turning red, as if he could finally look at me openly. "Jenna." He whispered my name, his voice trembling. I didn't speak, just looked at him. After 6 months, he had lost a lot of weight. He no longer had his former pride. He walked up to me, his voice hoarse. "You're in love with someone else, aren't you?" I asked calmly. "Does it have anything to do with you?" Sean seemed to have been hurt by my cold, distant demeanor. He said, his voice choked with tears. "Jenna, You can't fall in love with someone else. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. You didn't want to see me. So, for the past 6 months, I've just been following you secretly. As long as I could see you were safe, that you were happy, I was content. But today, when I saw that man approach you, I was so jealous I could have gone crazy. I can't accept you being with another man. I suddenly cut him off. We've already broken up. You can't accept it. But when we weren't broken up, and you were doing all those disgusting things with Bella, did you ever think that I couldn't accept it either? Sean was stunned. His eyes filled with a deep sadness and regret. Jenna, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was a bastard. But I really can't live without you. We were together for 8 years. Please give me one more chance. Okay. Bella has been arrested. She was sentenced to 3 years. She won't be bothering us anymore. I shook my head. Sean, the problem between us was never her. It was you. Sean was thunderstruck, wanting to say something, but no words came out. Only tears silently fell. I didn't look at him anymore and turned to go upstairs. Sean suddenly shouted at my back. Jenna, do you hate me? I paused and turned to look at him. I don't hate you, because I don't love you anymore. Sean left. That chapter of my life was closed. I had turned the page.